Right guys, I'm reading from the Boris Johnson blog, and this is the website. I will put the link, but I'm going to read it as well. Boris-Johnson.com/10/10/25/global-population-control #more-381. And this is from his blog, and it was written in October 2007. The name of the article is Global Population Control. And I'm going to read it to you because I know a lot of people don't like reading, so just bear with me because I'm reading and it's late and I want you lot to hear this. So the article is Global Population Control. Global overpopulation is the real issue. It is a tragic measure of how far the world has changed and the infinite capacity of modern man for taking offence, that there are no two subjects that can get more swiftly into political trouble than motherhood and apple pie. The last time I tentatively suggested that there was something to be said in favour of apple pie, I caused a frenzy of hatred in the healthy eating lobby. It reached such a pitch that journalists were actually pelting me with pies and demanding a retraction and an apology and a formal denunciation of the role of apple pie in causing obesity. As for motherhood, the fertility of the human race, we are getting to the point where you simply can't discuss it, and we are thereby refusing to say anything sensible about the biggest single challenge facing the earth. And no, whatever it may be now, be conventional to say, that single biggest challenge is not global warming. That is the secondary challenge. The primary challenge facing our species is the reproduction of our species itself. So, at the moment, we've got two things going on that Boris Johnson is talking to. Let's flash forward now to 2020. So global warming is going on and a pandemic. Both at the same time. He must be happy. I'll keep reading. Depending on how fast you read, the population of the planet is growing with every word that skitters beneath your eyeball. There are more than 211,000 people being added every day, and a population the size of Germany every year. As someone who has now been travelling around the world for decades, lucky you, Bojo, I see this change and I feel it. You can smell it in the traffic jams in the Middle East. You can see it as you fly over Africa at night. And you see mile after mile of fires burning red in the dark as the scrub is removed to make way for human beings. You can see it in the satellite pictures of nocturnal Europe, with the whole place lit up like a fairground. You can see it in the crazy definition of the Shanghai skyline where new skyscrapers are going up round the clock. You can see it as you fly over Mexico City, a vast checkerboard of smog-bound, low-rise dwellings stretching from one horizon to the other, and when you look down on what we are doing to the planet, you have a horrifying vision of habitations multiplying and replacing like bacilli in a petri dish. The world's population is now 6.7 billion, roughly double what it was when I was born. If I live to be in my mid-80s, then it will have trebled in my lifetime. The UN last year revised its forecast upwards, predicting that there would be 9.2 billion people by 2050. And I simply cannot understand why no one discusses this impending calamity and why no world statesmen have the guts to treat the issue with the seriousness it deserves. Maybe we understand now why we're going through this pandemic while Bojo is in charge, eh? Or why he's going along with these orders so swiftly and neatly. Back to the piece. How the hell can we witter on about tackling global warming and reducing consumption when we are continuing to add so relentlessly to the number of consumers? The answer in politics and political cowardice. The answer is politics and political cowardice. There was a time in 1960 and 1970s when people such as my father, Stanley, were becoming interested in demography and the UN. And the UN would hold giant conferences on the subject, and it was perfectly respectable to talk about saving the planet by reducing the growth in the number of human beings. But over the years, the argument changed, and certain words became taboo, and certain concepts became forbidden, and we have reached the stage where the very discussion of overall human fertility, global motherhood, has become more or less banned. So let's flash forward. This is 2007, he's saying this. In 2020, we're just about to go into this period where we're being told that this vaccine might make you sterile. They haven't checked it. They don't know about infertility. Don't get pregnant after you've had it. You know, there's issues there. Could it make you sterile? Because if it does, it's going with their agenda, or at least Boris's thoughts here, at least, yeah? Where was I? But over the years, the argument changed and certain words became taboo and certain concepts became forbidden. I've read this piece, and we'll have reached the stage where the very discussion of overall human fertility, global motherhood, has become more or less banned. We seem to have given up on population control. That's what he said in 2007. We seem to have given up on population control, and all sorts of explanations are offered for the surrender. Some say Indira Gandhi gave it all a bad name by her demented plan to sterilise Indian men with the lure of a transistor radio. Some attribute our complacency to the Green Revolution, which seemed to prove Malthus wrong. It became the received wisdom that the world's population could rise to up-teen billions as mankind learnt to make several ears of corn grow where one had grown before. And then in recent years, the idea of global population control has been more or less stifled by a pincer movement from the right and left. American right-wingers disapprove of anything that sounds like birth control, and so George W. Bush withholds the tiny contribution America makes to the UN Fund for Population Activities, regardless of the impact on the health of women in developing countries. As for the left, they dislike suggestions of population control because they seem to smack of colonialism and imperialism, and telling the third world what to do. And so we have reached the absurd position in which humanity bleats about the destruction of the environment, and yet there is not a peep in any communique from any summit in the EU, G8 or UN about the population growth that is causing that destruction. So he's saying here there's been no discussion so far in the EU, G8 or UN. I think that's changed in 2020. I think they've had that discussion. They've had that discussion now, so he must be really, really happy. I'll keep reading. The debate is surely now unavoidable. Look at food prices, driven even higher by population growth in India and China. Look at the insatiable Chinese desire for meat, which has pushed the cost of feed so high that Putin has now obliged to institute price controls in the doomed fashion of Edward Heath. Even in Britain, chicken farmers are finding that the cost of chicken feed is no longer exactly chicken feed, and though the food crisis may once again be solved by the wit of man, the damage to the environment may be irreversible. It's time we had a grown-up discussion about the optimum quantity of human beings in this country and on this planet. Do we want the southeast of Britain, already the most densely populated major country in Europe, to resemble a giant suburbia? This is not, not an argument about immigration per se, since in a sense it does not matter where people come from, and with their skill and their industry, immigrants add hugely to the economy. This is a straightforward question of population and the eventual size of the human race. All the evidence shows that we can help reduce population growth and world poverty by promoting literacy and female emancipation and access to birth control. Isn't it time politicians stopped being so timid and started talking about the real number one issue? control for years. And here now is Boris Johnson telling you in his own words from 2007. And he is up there today at the front of the ship and with this mindset. So good luck to us all, eh? I'll leave the link below.